Maybe we can spice it up a little bit this time.
It's all about chaos.
Welcome back to the James and Dame Show. I'm Josiah.
And I'm Will.
And today we're doing the brain just died. We're doing the Chaos mock draft. We did this last year. We had a lot of fun with it, especially with how it went from 0 to 100 like what was it, like 2-3 picks
Real quick.
real fast. And then it hurt to look at the results afterwards, but it was fun because we had to choose what the wheel decided for us. Do we have a name for the wheel? I don't remember if we did.
I just call it the Chaos Wheel.
All right, the Chaos wheel it is then.
Go to the comments and name the Chaos Wheel if you want.
The wheel of despair.
But yeah, I made this caveat last year, and I will make this year, is that this idea was not originally ours. I found the idea last year from Bengal on YouTube. He does this pretty much every year, so I thought it was fun. And so brought it up last year. Now it's year 2. And it's a lot of fun. In case you don't know how it works, it's a normal mock draft, except this here wheel decides pretty much what we pick, and you can get a lot of different things. There's positions like offensive lineman, defensive back, receiver, quarterback. There's we have SEC and non-SEC in here because
There's a lot of SEC players.
SEC players are good. Our choice, reach, large reach. That's where fun gets included.
Trades.
Trades, yeah. A lot of there's some that make it not necessarily super spicy, and some that make it really spicy. So we'll see how long it takes for things to go off the rails. Sometimes very quickly, sometimes not so quickly.
I believe in this.
Yeah, it'll be great.
Let chaos reign, and hopefully we don't get quarterback literally the first pick.
Or do, I mean, it's possible.
Yeah.
But for the first pick, we have the Titans, and they will be going with our choice. So, yeah, that's probably going to be Cam Ward.
Gee, I wonder who that would be.
Yeah, it makes the most sense. That's pretty much what's being mocked, unless I think they trade down, which, I mean, we haven't been given that option. So I think Cam Ward is going to be here at 1, and we'll just dust it off and go to the next one.
All right, then.
Listen. It'll happen.
It's
Be
okay.
patient. Number 2, we have the Cleveland Browns, and they're coming up here, and they get defensive back.
Ooh.
Now, this is not necessarily, but I think it's obvious what this is. This is going to be Travis Hunter. He's a little spicy because he qualifies as both receiver and cornerback.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, he falls under defensive back. So
Indeed it does.
Browns take Travis Hunter.
Well, there you go. Travis Hunter actually moves up. Yeah, earlier than the last.
Yeah, we had him 3 in our first mock draft. So there he goes. Now we got the Giants.
The Giants.
The New York Giants. They're also getting defensive back. That's
Okay.
unfortunate for them, but this is where it gets a little interesting because they have to reach down a little bit. And, I mean, I would say it's really not that big of a need for them. But, unfortunately for them, they don't really get a say.
No.
Although I will say, I guess I haven't added the caveat, we each get a veto on a pick.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And yeah, so we each get one. just to make sure like teams like the Ravens don't pick a quarterback. It just keep things somewhat contained and not completely outrageous. But
That's fair.
here I think it's two options. I mean, you could throw in Malachi Starks, but I think it's probably Will Johnson or Barron.
Probably Will Johnson.
I'd be fine with Johnson, yeah. So Will Johnson goes at 3. Giants went, oh man, we wanted this corner. I guess we'll go with this one. So Will Johnson there, and we move on to number 4.
Patriots.
And the Patriots get a receiver. Both halves of Travis Hunter. Except this one I actually don't hate because this leaves them with a big-bodied receiver at number 4, who I think actually could potentially go there when you're from somewhere that is up north. It's nice and cold. That big body receiver is really nice to have, and Tedero McMillan is that kind of guy. I think he absolutely could soar up the boards. I think the top 10 could look any sort of way, and
Yeah.
I think he's a solid pick here. So we'll say.
I mean, he's projected to be one of the best receivers in this class. So
unless you want to go with Golden, but I think McMillan
No,
kind
I
of
like
fits the
McMillan.
Patriots better here.
yeah, McMillan.
So Tedero McMillan, and then we get the Jaguars at 5.
Jaguars.
And what do we get here? Offense.
So anybody on offense.
Anybody on offense.
Okay.
Unfortunately, and probably not what the Jaguars were looking for.
No. Quite the
They
opposite.
they could go O lineman. They could take Genty, but I don't know that that's really their top need on offense.
No.
I think lineman is probably
Yeah,
the
probably
best
like
bet here.
Campbell or Mimbo. Somebody
Mimbu.
like
Banks is still
Mimbu.
down there. I think realistically for the Jags, I think Campbell.
Yeah, LSU boy.
I think he
Yeah.
kind of fits what they're going to do there, and I think he will help a little bit more with how they want to play. So, yeah, Will Campbell it is.
All right.
Yeah. I don't know if you've noticed, but Abdul Carter's still on the board. How far does he fall?
We'll see.
Maybe he'll go right here with the
Raiders.
well, they got D-line, so
Oh. Well,
that I mean they could go interior, but
they could.
I think if Abdul Carter somehow falls to 6, you take Abdul Carter.
Yeah.
So Abdul Carter then
Sweet.
for the Raiders, and that would probably be the easiest pick of their lives, I feel like.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like anyone outside of like the top 4, you don't even look at Abdul Carter much. You're just like, if he manages to get here, we take him.
Yeah.
Top 4, you have to be like, we have to consider our options.
Yeah.
But yeah, at that level, opposite of Max Crosby would just be disgusting.
Disgusting.
Now we got the Jets.
Jets.
Oh boy, Jets, what do you do?
Probably not.
Oh, a little bit of an interesting move. They go quarterback after signing Justin Fields.
Shador Sanders.
And here's the interesting thing. I think that's the logical
yeah, it's the logical
explanation,
one,
but it would come across as a reach. But I think if the Jets took a quarterback I don't think there's any way they take a quarterback at
No.
7. But if they took a quarterback at 7, I feel like they would want a guy who needs to develop but has a high ceiling. Meanwhile, I see Shedeur as someone who is day one ready, but his ceiling is much lower. So I find that interesting. And I almost would think like a better fit here would be like a Jalen Milroe, where he can sit behind Justin Fields, a bit more of a scrambler, learn, and then take over in a few years. But
True. Yeah. I mean,
At 7, I think it's still Shadur.
Yeah,
And
it definitely is Shador. You don't just pass up on him, especially if he falls this far.
yeah, I mean, I think he could be someone who could fall all the way down to the 20s, potentially, depending on how things go. But
Yeah, we'll see how stocks for draft picks go.
we'll keep it with Shadur.
Shador.
I mean, yeah, he's the only first-round caliber kind of guy. Defense here
For Panthers?
for the Panthers. They got defense. So
Cornerback,
Cornerback.
safety, edge.
I think buffing up that D line could be really useful.
So you think Graham?
Graham could be. I feel like an edge would be really nice for them, though.
Okay. I mean, there's Stewart. There's Mikael Williams.
And you have to remember, Jalen Walker is not just he's listed at linebacker.
But he's also
He plays off ball and edge is the thing that's and that's a nice asset. I think I think you go Graham just because he's another one of those guys that just falls. If he falls, you take him because he's so good. And even though the Panthers don't necessarily need him as much, I think you can do so much more with him.
Oh yeah.
So we'll take. I think they'll take Graham here,
Mm-hmm.
and then we move on
I'm waiting for the disgusting pick that we have to make.
to the Saints. And what do the Saints do?
Oh boy.
They have to go non-SEC. So
Okay. So
we can look at
Genty's there.
Genty is there, and Genty would be
Tyler Warren.
Tyler Warren is an option, and we have had him take Tyler Warren before. Other than that, oh geez, there's so
It kind
many.
of takes a little bit of a drop off there.
There's so many. All of the SEC players are so many SEC players because I think
Loveland. There's Harmon.
I think it's
Josh
Genty
Simmons.
or Warren, and we had Warren go before, but I mean, Genty would
Genty's
give
like
him
right there.
such an edge on
Yeah.
offense. I think it has to be Genty.
Yeah.
Uh,
All right.
the Bears.
The Bears.
All right, what are you gonna give us?
Nothing.
Oh,
No.
trade. So
First trade. Let's go.
this is where things get interesting because we get to dictate the trade. So who you kind of look at who would want to move up here.
Should we think about player first or do we think about team first?
I think it's a mix. I think you look at what is available. You have linemen here.
You have a tight end at Warren.
You do have
Edge
a
with
tight end at
Stewart.
Warren.
A couple of O tackles. You have a linebacker / wherever he wants to go. Jalen Walker.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of defensive guys.
Do you think?
Who could move up here?
Who's in dire need of defensive pieces?
I would say
The Niners are right at 11, so that doesn't make sense why they should move.
unless they really
Unless they
if they moved up,
really
I
want
think it'd
to.
be for Membo.
Yeah.
I think if it's anything, I kind of feel like the Bengals would move up here for a defensive piece.
Ooh. Honestly? Yeah. Let's do that.
That's gonna be really funny
that.
if we spin this and they still end up getting offensive players. Bengals trade up and are on the clock, and what are they going to take? Mr. Chaos Wheel.
Do your thing.
SEC, that's perfect because they can take pretty much anything.
Well,
Literally all of these would be useful.
Stewart.
Stewart is an option. God, you can really take anything. We'll stick to defense because I think that's probably what is most realistic.
yeah.
Stewart, Walker, potentially you could look at corner. I think Walker
Yeah. I like Walker.
with his versatility.
Because they literally need everything on defense right now.
Yeah.
So, Jalen Walker, let's do that.
Then we got the 49ers who could also use pretty much anything.
But let's see what let's see what the Wheel of Chaos does.
non-SEC. So
Well,
yikes! We look at what's left. Tyler Warren, I don't think is a viable option for them, so they have to look down the board. Derek Harmon, I think
yeah, it's like the
is-
next.
I think that's all. I think that's all
That's
they
it.
got.
Yeah, everything else is
It's,
SEC.
it's Tyler Warren.
Loveland and Harmon.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, but you don't need tight end, so it's like one of the few positions you don't need. So I think Derek Harmon from Oregon fills in sort of that interior and helps them kind of rebuild that defense.
Okay. And now we move to the Cowboys.
Yeah,
What do they get?
Cowboys going all in. What are they gonna
This
do?
is all in, baby.
Our choice.
Well,
What would my choice for the Cowboys be? Because
they need an edge, so Stewart's there.
Stewart is there.
Let's see here.
There's
you-
some line help if they really
Yeah.
wanted to go for that.
Mimbu and Banks Jr. are sitting there. I mean, Banks Jr. might fit that scheme pretty well. I mean, Texas boy, staying in Texas.
You like him staying in state.
Yeah, I don't know. Banks probably just fits that scheme better anyways.
Yeah, I mean, with the running backs I have,
Oh, yeah.
probably. So we'll go with Banks here for the Cowboys.
Banks.
Um,
Hey,
Miami.
Membo?
Well, we got to see.
I know, but like the Dolphins get Membo. That'd be a great opportunity for them. Don't know if that happens, though.
Oh, unfortunately, no. It was almost receiver, actually. But
really?
we end with a reach. So they got to look down the board a little bit.
Oh, boy.
And
I'm going to go.
no, this isn't large reach. So we're still looking at someone who's probably. Well, it's probably more of a late round talent. And what could they probably go with? O-line, absolutely.
Yeah.
I don't know if you really qualify him as a reach, but I think he could fit the script. Josh Simmons, tackle from Ohio State. He's listed lower because he suffered a very serious injury last year, so he didn't play a lot. But he has one of the highest upsides, but because of his injury, you don't know how much of that, and that's what's dropped him. So realistically, he actually could go somewhere this high if they believe the injury is not an issue. But he's also someone who could drop to the end of the first if the injury is an issue, or if there's still concerns. So I just think not only does he fit kind of as a reach, I think it makes sense and could actually happen if the Dolphins see him as a physically fit. I think he is someone who could go here at 13. So that's who I'm thinking. Because
I think that's pretty much considered a reach for me, too. I mean, go any farther down, I think that's a big reach right there. I don't know. I'm okay with Josh Simmons going to Miami.
all right, then I think we have found our reach pick.
I mean, I do agree with you. Like, all these players they can rise, they can fall, depending on how their draft stock goes, and they're all really good players. Like I said, this is a great non-QB class, and I don't know, it's kind of hard. It's kind of hard to pick who's better.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough. But we do have the Colts here.
The Colts.
And here's where we can get something interesting. They're going to go defense. So let's see what they got here.
Okay, Stewart, Starks, Williams, Pierce Jr., Emenwari,
Yeah,
Campbell, Barron, Scorton.
yeah, it's kind of just like because they addressed defensive backs in free agency.
Yep.
So I think you're looking at someone in the front seven.
Yep.
So D lineman or linebacker who's available. Stewart, I think Stewart or Pierce. I think is probably
one of those two.
unless they really want to go with linebacker, which I mean Campbell I think is a really good option.
Yeah, he's good.
So
Really far down there.
depending on what you think between edge or linebacker.
I mean, I like the edge idea. I don't know.
I think Stewart. I
Yeah.
think fits. I know Pierce has some concerns.
Yeah.
I know there's
always a few.
there's a few who have concerns. So yeah. But I think Pierce. I think fits. Or no, Stewart.
Stewart.
We said Stewart.
You said Stewart.
Okay.
We said Stewart.
I forgot. But yeah, Shamar Stewart goes here.
Okay.
I think it'll be interesting putting him opposite of Lot 2. But we got what do we have next? We have consensus.
Okay.
A consensus for the Falcons here. I mean, I think the consensus would be, oh God,
I think Starks.
consensus. Well, here's the question: they still desperately need an edge, but Membu is still there. There's like, you got three offensive pieces that have fallen far enough to be almost considered a steal, but the Falcons kind of don't really need O lineman as much. Maybe tight end, like maybe you go Tyler Warren to replace Kyle Pitts. But otherwise, I think maybe safety, but I was thinking more edge.
Yeah, I know that's been a thing that they've been needing for years, and they've been dragging their feet.
I just think they need it so
Yeah.
bad.
I'll let that slide. I mean, I think safety is just as good, but I do agree with the fact that they need an edge.
Starks is a very good option here, but I think a need should take a little bit of priority. Now, knowing the Falcons, I think even in this situation, they'd probably still go Starks because they just avoid addressing edge for as long as possible.
Mikael Williams, then? Or
Williams
do you think,
Pierce. I think Williams would fit a little bit more with the Falcons.
Okay.
So I'd say Mikael Williams here.
Mikael Williams.
Cardinals now.
Arizona. Let's see what they get.
They come up and they're going to get a wide receiver.
Okay.
Interesting.
Matthew Golden.
Yeah, I think he's potentially viewed as, depending if you consider Hunter in the mix, receiver 2.
Mm-hmm.
I still think McMillan is better, but he's in the conversation for second best behind Hunter. So I think Golden here is a pretty solid pick.
Okay.
I don't think anyone else really. I mean, I think Burden could fit, but I think here Golden's the better pick for them. So Matthew Golden for the Cardinals, and the Bears come back on the clock.
Hey, Bears.
And it would be really funny if they got trade again.
That'd be hilarious.
But we're going to get our choice. And honestly, this works out really well for the Bears.
Yeah.
Because Membu is still there.
Oh my gosh.
And they could have taken him at 10. They saw the field. They went, nah, we'll trade back 7 spots. He'll still be there.
Just to pick up Membu.
And he's still there. So I think that's probably
kind of obvious.
I think that's probably the easiest decision we'll have to make.
I want the hard decisions. Give me the hard decisions.
We got Seattle now. What are they going to go with?
Oh, boy.
Oh, dear. Quarterback. And
yeah,
I don't think it's impossible.
No.
In the first round, I think it's a little high. Because you're only 3 spots higher than the Steelers, and the Steelers have been mocked Jackson Dart however many times.
Yeah.
Looking at quarterback, who do you have? Who do you take here? I think this is probably accurate in that Dart and Milrow are probably the only 2 who could go this early.
Yeah.
I think the other guys have potential starting value, but
not that soon.
I think people who rise this high, whoever you get is going to sit behind Sam Darnold.
Mm-hmm.
And I think both Milrow and Dart, I think part of the reason why they shouldn't go in the first round is because they need to learn. And it's more of a style thing.
I I don't know. I like Jackson Dart, and I know you do too. But with Seattle, though,
I think he makes a lot more sense than Milrow. Milrow is
Yeah,
kind of the guy you need
he-
to sculpt an offense around.
yeah, Milrow definitely is very raw. I
He's
feel like
he's very
more
raw.
compared to Dart.
Dart is a little bit more cleaned up. He still has a lot to learn, but I think Dart has a lot more similar play style to Sam Darnold. And not saying that they are the same, but more similar. Milrow is a scrambler, and you need to know how to build an offense around that. And I don't think McDonald's defensive-heavy team is going to be able to really structure that.
No.
So I feel like Dart's the better guy to sit behind Sam Darnold here.
Okay.
So
cool with that.
I'll say Dart.
Dart.
Just good. Then we got the Buccaneers.
Oh boy, let's get some more chaos. Come on, more chaos.
Ramp it up or not. Our choice.
Boo.
Who's available?
What kind of wheel is this?
Now, okay. Tyler Warren's there, and he'd make that offense
Ooh,
so scary. But
but
there's also a lot of defensive need.
yep.
And so I'm thinking,
I like Starks here.
I was going to say Starks or an edge. But yeah, we could absolutely go Starks.
I like Starks going to the Buccaneers.
I
in
think
this
that
situation.
I think that's completely fair. I mean, this is what our second mock of the Buccaneers taking safety.
Yep,
Woohoo!
pretty much. Broncos.
What are they gonna take? A non-SEC player.
Oh, well, that limits their options.
A little bit. I mean, okay, so they did just pick up Evan Ingram. So maybe you don't need Tyler Warren, but maybe you also double up on tight end, and then you have an Evan Ingram, Tyler Warren kind
Could,
of offense.
but you also kind of need a running back as well, or a wide receiver, if we're thinking offense. Because I think between the three positions, I think running back is definitely the more needed of the three. Having Warren would be amazing. That'd be cool.
Reality is, I think they mostly need a weapon.
Yeah.
I think offense should an offensive weapon should be their concern. You picked up some really good pieces in free agency, and looking at who is available as a non-SEC player, Tyler Warren, Revel down at corner. You have Loveland, but why take Loveland when you have Warren?
Warren just literally sitting there.
Egbuka
Ibuka.
is there, and then you got Williams, and you get a little bit more into what I would consider more of a reach. So,
Yeah.
honestly, unless they really want to reach down, I mean, because what you look at weapons, you have Warren, Loveland, Egbuka.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of like tight end here,
Okay.
but I could potentially go Egbuka, or if you really wanted to reach down for Hampton, but I feel like Warren would be the best pick.
Yeah, I mean, it probably is in this situation, but I think they just need a running back more than anything else. But just for the sake of this one,
Well, plus you can get running backs down the board.
that's true.
They're
This is only
rare.
first round.
It's 1 to 2 usually running backs in the first round. But I think Tyler Warren it would make it such an interesting offense to run a 2 tight end offense.
Mm-hmm.
Is it Sean Payton's thing? I don't know. Probably not. But we'll see. We'll go Tyler Warren.
To be determined.
Now we got the Steelers. Come on, give me large reach. Give me large reach. Or that quarterback. I
Well,
think that's pretty simple. We got Jalen Milrow, unless
I don't.
I think it's Jalen Milrow,
Yeah.
which I've seen him there before.
Really?
Yeah,
Like
there's
later down
mocks.
the board.
No, first round mocked to the Steelers, and I was like, I mean, they're desperate, but
some of y'all need to get checked out.
We have Chargers now, though. And what do they go with here? SEC player.
Yeah, that's easy.
That's pretty simple.
Easier.
Or a pretty open option. Let's see. You could go an edge after losing Joey Bosa.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, SEC guys, Booker, Pierce, Evan Worry, Campbell,
Yeah.
literally any of these guys.
Yeah. I think Pierce Jr. would do wonders for the Chargers.
Yeah.
I mean, yes, they do need an edge to replace Bosa, but I mean, it works.
I'm looking at SEC guys, and again, there's a bunch.
I'm not saying that they're all bad. I just think in this scenario, if they're going to have a replacement for Bosa, you're going to have to pick somebody up here.
Yeah. Plus, again, the thing I really think they should look at is a weapon, but the only SEC weapon available who is really anywhere near this sort of range would be Luther Burden, and even that, I feel like there's so many better options with what's there.
Mm-hmm.
Best option available for them, probably going to be one of these defensive pieces. You could really pick up any of these. You could, again, you have a linebacker, you have edges, you have safety.
There's a lot to choose from here.
So it's kind of probably they could go Booker at guard, but I think they probably look at a defensive piece, and again, replacing Bosa wouldn't be horrible.
No, it wouldn't.
Unless you want to go somewhere else.
No, I think Pierce Jr. would be a great fit.
And
you're gonna have to replace. You have to find a replacement at some point. I mean, obviously, the better the player, the more likely it's going to work out. Supposedly, not all first-round prospects live up to their potential. There we go. So
yeah, I think the only two here would be Pierce or Mike Green, but I think Pierce. I could go with Pierce.
Yeah.
So Chargers pick up an edge right in front of the Packers. Sad day for them.
Oh.
Packers are gonna end up
QB, please.
Our choice.
Dang it.
Although we both do still have vetoes left, and we are coming into the last 10 picks.
Yeah, I kind of want to use my veto here. I just want to see what else we can get in the Packers.
Get something a little bit more interesting then, and well,
what
we got to trade.
Okay, so, that works. That works. It delays it.
Let's see. Who could trade up here? We got looking at who's available. We got Booker, and then we got some solid defensive pieces. Loveland as well. Who could look to move up? I don't think it's really their move, but I could see the Chiefs moving up for Booker.
Yeah.
Or any of those defensive pieces. Lions moving up for an edge. Or maybe I think there's a lot of teams here could look at O-line. Texans also could trade up.
Yeah, it's only a couple spots though.
Yeah. Who do you think? Who we thinking moves up here? Bills maybe.
I think that if it's between any teams, I think the Chiefs move up to try and get an O-line, or it's the Lions moving up to get an edge. It's one of those two. But we can decide.
I like the collusion. So the Lions move up.
And they'll take an edge here. Probably.
We'll see. I mean, it'd be so funny if they didn't get to. They get a D-line, so they do get to take edge, which I love that because Packers fans would be livid. They would be so livid.
Scorton? Probably.
I would say Mike Green.
Really?
I like Mike Green here. I think Mike Green is one of the more polished most polished edges. He was so good this last year. He, I think, was one of the, at least compared to first round edges, the sack leader.
Oh, really?
Of all of them. And again, this is Marshall. It's not a Power 5 school, but
But
He's-
it shows promise.
I think that also is part of the reason why he's fallen. And obviously, this has it lower. I like him as a potential, like, I could see him as the, like, 12 to 18 range, but also someone who completely falls out of the first round, just depending.
I see him as like a late first round.
And I just think he has a lot of range.
He definitely does.
It's going to come down to how the teams view them. That's why edges are so interesting, because any of them could go anywhere. But yeah, I think I like Mike Green here
Okay.
to the Lions. Put him there. Vikings.
All right, let's see what they get. This would be
The
hilarious.
wheel decides our choice.
Dang. I can't use my veto anymore.
Yeah, I think this. I mean, Booker probably finally. Right in front of the Texans too. Salt to the wound.
Yeah, probably. Let's do it.
I mean, that or Emin Worry maybe.
Who do they really? Well, actually, they definitely need safety.
They've lost a lot of defensive pieces. They've boosted up the
Yeah.
They've boosted up the O line with Will Fries and Ryan Kelly through free agency.
I mean, it wasn't hard to fix the defense a little bit. So Emin Warwick.
I like Emin Worry a little bit.
Yeah, he makes the most sense, I guess.
At the very least, behind Harrison Smith, because he's probably coming up on his last few years.
Yeah, Harrison Smith ain't gonna be around for too long.
So Emin Worry here.
Emin Warwick.
Then we got
Texans.
Texans.
So they really need something, but the wheel gets to decide.
It's a reach. I think they probably look at O line.
It's got to be a reach.
Yeah. So it can't be Booker, which is unfortunate for them.
Yep.
And if we're looking at reaches,
I'm looking into like the 40s right now.
okay.
Or is that too big of a reach?
I mean, it is what it is. It's that, or I feel like it just has
Donovan
to be O-line.
Jackson is at 36.
Donovan Jackson is. I almost was looking at Ariante Ursary.
Yeah, that was the next person I was looking at too.
Again, he's someone who, I mean, he's been kind of around there for a while. I really liked him at Minnesota. I will say he handled Abdul Carter pretty well.
Oh,
when
yeah,
Minnesota
that's right.
played.
Yeah, they were playing.
And he got some attention for that. I think he could potentially be someone who rises.
Okay.
I don't think that's completely absurd of an idea.
Maybe a little crazy, but not too.
I think it's a reach, but I think
It's not too absurd.
he's someone who could, especially again, tackles are much more of a need usually in that first round. And with the Texans situation, I think tackle is probably what they would look at. And I think Ursary is someone who could be that riser.
Okay.
So we'll have him go there. Rams. What are they going to get? They're going to get a large reach. Oh, no. That's
Oopsie-daisy.
unfortunate. So someone way down here. Again, I'm not looking at the numbers as much.
I'm just looking
At
second round.
because you look at what they need really.
Yeah, because they
Defensive
defensive
pieces.
pieces. Yeah.
So
So anybody who looks
linebacker, corner, or edge. Realistic, yeah, because I do agree with that.
JT Tuma, I can't pronounce his name. Tui Maloa, edge out of Ohio State.
I don't. Okay,
They're
these guys are people who have been mocked in the first round. I don't like that they're down in the 50s.
really.
I mean, okay, because this is where it gets iffy. Because Maxwell Hairston is a guy
I was about to say
who's in the 50s, but I've literally last time we had him go to the Bills.
Bills. Yeah.
So and as well as Azariah Thomas is also someone who's
what
been
the
mocked in
heck?
the first round. So that's why these boards it's hard to determine.
There's also just so much talent in this draft.
I'm trying to make it a large reach without being just like completely ridiculous. And I just don't know what really fits. I mean, what qualifies as a large reach here? Um,
I'm just thinking second round terms.
yeah, I think maybe Princely from Ole Miss, the edge. I feel like could
Okay.
potentially be because I do not see him as I have
Evan
not seen
Nealon?
him rise into the first round. Um,
Okay.
I think he's a little bit more of a reach than say Hairston or Thomas.
Yeah.
Plus, he's a little bit more of a need. I
It's
think,
true.
yeah, I think that's a little more of a need.
We can do Uman Milan.
So we'll go with Princely. And we got my Ravens, and this is part of the reason why I haven't used my veto yet, is I'm concerned.
Always got to protect his team.
I just wanted it to not be quarterback. D-line. Yeah, I will take that. I think that is very valid.
Talik Williams?
Um,
Or do you think of someone else?
could be Williams, could be Nolan.
Who do you think fits your Ravens?
I feel like the team or the player that would make kind of fits the kind of player they usually go with would be Eziraku, the edge from Boston College.
Okay.
I don't know about Scorton. If I looked interior, I feel like it would lean more towards the edge.
Okay.
Um,
I mean, I'm not opposed to him.
it's I'm just between him and Scorton because I'm not. I mean, I'm not too
I'm not
high on Scorton.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm not too high on Scorn either.
Which is upsetting because I'm not super high on Donovan either, but
Donovan, I think, is definitely.
he's the most
He's-
Ravens pick.
Yeah, he is definitely. I can see him meshing into that front seven.
Yeah, it's just he's not the guy that I would want him to get, but that's because I want kind of. This is why I liked our last mock is because I them taking my Mike Green, I was like,
Let's go.
I want that elite edge rusher for us, but we'll go Donovan. We'll see how he turns out. I mean, truth be told, I don't actually know who's going to be good. This is just based off of what I know
This is
and my opinions. But
way before the actual season starts. So we'll probably look back on some of these picks and be like, ooh, we were wrong.
probably. Packers back on the clock, though.
All right, come on. Do something funny.
It's another consensus. I will use my veto here
Yay.
because I want something funny to happen to the Packers.
Third time's the charm. Come on.
Well, I guess it's not super funny. It is a receiver, but they don't get a first round edge.
They don't get a first round edge, yes.
Receiver, you got Egbuka, Burden, Harris,
They do.
Ayumanor.
Egbuka could fit well, I think.
I feel like Egbuka is kind of their style while also being someone who's going to stand out a little bit more than who they already have.
Mm-hmm.
I think Burden, because it's like they're going to look for someone who fits what they look for, or who fits their kind of offense, a normal Packers pick, while also being like, hey, you're an actual potential number one. Burden is a lot more viewed as kind of a gadget player, and so I don't know that he'll get that sort of number one look. So I think Egbuka could be fun.
All right. Egbuka.
And now we're down to the final four. With
Commanders.
the Commanders up.
Commies. All right. Who they get?
They're going to look at a non-SEC player. And,
Oh, boy.
I mean, oh boy, how far down did they have to look? You have Revel, Loveland, Tyreek Williams,
Zabel.
Zabel, potentially on the O-line. They kind of addressed O-line, though, getting Laramie Tunsil, maybe
What
not.
do they need?
I mean, an edge would be really nice for them. I don't know if you really have a guy worth taking here, though.
No. I'm
Um,
not seeing a whole lot right now.
I think I think corner maybe.
Probably.
And if you look at corner, I know Revel is listed as the highest one, but I also kind of like Azariah Thomas as a potential. And again, he's listed a lot lower. I guess you could view him as a potential reach, but I think I've seen him mocked in the first round, and I think he could fit that. I don't know what it is with Revel.
You're not a big fan of him?
I'm not as high, but I could definitely go Revel here. I think he's probably a little bit more of a consensus pick.
Okay.
So-
I'm okay with Revel. I mean, I don't have anything against him.
Yeah. So we'll go Revel. Then we got Bills on the clock.
Bills. What are they going to get?
Oh dear, a large reach.
Well,
And you're looking at more defensive pieces again. So
whoop-de-doo.
guys who are down here, I think Swinson could fit. If you view him as the first edge who is considered a large reach. Otherwise, I could look again at corner.
Porter. Darian Porter.
Porter.
That's who I was looking at for corner. He's at 67.
I kind of like I think Swinson probably.
Swinson? Okay. I was going to go with either or, but if you like Swinson, we'll do Swinson.
I'd say Swinson then.
Swinson.
Then we got the Chiefs at 31.
Chiefs.
The Kansas City
Right.
Chiefs. They go
Please be
O-line.
bad.
So, and this just works so well for them.
Yeah,
Tyler Booker's
gee.
right there. Well, we got a lot of guys who are falling out of the first round.
Yeah.
So at least that's interesting.
So
A
Booker.
lot of edges also have been going. But Booker, yeah, I would say Booker here. And then
Eagles.
final pick, Eagles. Anything could be scary. Except that. A large reach.
Oh. Another edge. I don't know.
I mean, they could use
They
edge.
very well could use an edge.
And honestly, if there's much of a run like this at edge, with what you have 3
You have
in the last
Kyle
5 picks,
Kennard at 74.
a large reach. Don't even either Alfred Collins or Shamar Turner, it's a pretty severe reach,
Yeah,
but
it's there. I mean, I'm not opposed to Turner.
yeah, I mean he seems like such a far reach, but I think he has potential lift, and I don't think anywhere near first round, but I think he could be someone who makes it into maybe the second round.
Yeah.
Late second round. Like I could see this
Late
as
second round, yeah.
I could see this as maybe an Eagles in the second round pick. Second round Eagles pick.
Yeah.
So at the end of the second round. But maybe, I guess. It's a pretty big reach.
It is a
but,
big reach, so that's what we were kind of looking for. So
Shamar Turner, I guess it is.
I guess.
And then yeah, that's
Ew. And now I'm looking back at all this. This was a lot worse than I thought it was. At first I was like, okay, this isn't that bad. Now I'm looking back at this. This is kind of ew.
We had a lot of first round prospects drop out of the first round.
Yeah, this is not like great.
it started out pretty solid. Well,
It's usually
first
like
two
the
picks.
first
and
two
then-
picks, and then it kind of devolved from there.
Yeah. I mean, you had Abdul Carter to the Raiders, Shadur to the Jets, Milrow to the Steelers. But that's
The
not
only
even-
the only team that I can see that has benefited from all this is maybe the Bengals, Bears,
Oh, Bears, absolutely.
um,
Maybe the Lions.
I can see the Lions. I don't know who else kind of benefited from this. I think it's just Bengals and Bears right now, and Lions maybe.
But here we are. It's a chaos mock. Don't get too mad at us because Mr. Chaos Wheel here is mostly responsible.
Yep. Not our doing. We tried our best to not control, but like guide the hand of chaos throughout all this because there's only so much you can do with all this stuff.
True that. So, thank you so much for watching. This has been our Chaos Mock. Second official.
Yeah.
Second mock-
official mock draft, but it's its own thing. It's not technically with the actual mock drafts.
second mock draft of the year and second Chaos Mock Draft we've done. So,
That's crazy.
how much? I think this one is not as off the rails as the last one was.
No, this one definitely feels more. I don't know how else to describe it. More level-headed. The last year, because it was all QB heavy, and they needed to figure out QBs, and QBs just fell so far. That kind of threw people for a loop.
Yeah, this
A lot.
one I think is a little bit more take whoever. Like, I think there's so much that can move
Yes.
that it doesn't seem as chaotic, even though some of them definitely are. Looking at the last 10 picks, but anyways, thank you for joining us. We'll see you in our next mock draft.
See ya.
Bye.